just keeps the roots of your fiber mesh safe. So as I pull out, it's going to keep my roots kind of trapped to the bottom here. If I go turn that off, now I can kind of move these roots around. So you got to kind of play with that. But that's where I would start, just as a quick one. If you wanted to make your own insert mesh brushes or curve brushes, you could just make a bunch of spikes and stick them in there if you want a little bit more control. Yeah, so how split to parts, can you show it just a split to part only? Yeah, so split to parts I would use here. So if we go to make polymesh 3D, we can go to BI brush insert. We'll insert some parts on this thing. So here's a bunch of stuff we can insert. So if I insert this thing, it'll insert this and it'll just keep inserting that. If I want to randomly cycle through, if I go to my brush here, we can go to Modifiers, multi-selector, and this cycles through the meshes. So I think 3 is random. There we go. So we can just kind of randomly cycle through like so, and it's just cycling through our meshes here that I have. Now if I turn that off and we go, okay, now I want something very specific like this thing, this button, and I'm just going to drag this on. Now, if you want to have these all the same size, what you need to do is go to drag dot, and I'm sorry, not drag dot. You need to hold down control while you're dragging these on. So if you hold down control, it's going to snap it to your brush size. It's like, make my brush size a little smaller. Hold down control, and then it'll make them all the same size because it's going to make them your brush size. Now, I have dynamic turned on, so as I move my camera away, it's still going to drag out to my brush size, which is going to stay relative to the object. If I hold down shift and turn dynamic off, it'll drag out to your brush size, and then as you move your camera away, your brush size is going to be big, and then as you move your camera closer, your brush size is going to be small. So hold down shift and make sure dynamic is turned on so you can have it all drag out to the same size. Now when I go to split this thing, if I go to split here, if I go to split to parts, anything that's not vert welded, and that could be even these little loops in here. If I hold down Control Shift, go to select lasso, grab just a little chunk of this, do Control Shift A. See how it's not vert welded to anything? It's going to split that off into its own subtool. So, and you can also do group split over here. So that's going to take any of your polygroups and split them, which in these cases isn't going to work very well because it's going to split these faces apart from these faces, which is probably what we don't want. You could go through here and do auto groups, and what that'll do is anything that's not vert welded will get its own polygroup. So now this is all one polygroup and this is all one polygroup, and so now we can split that way, but now these things are going to be split off into their own thing. So if you wanted to, you could isolate these objects here and hit Control W like this. So split to parts is going to split everything that's not vert welded into its own subtool. Split to similar parts is going to split, yeah, like this is all going to be separate subtools now. However, since all of these circles are the same, if we go split to similar parts, it's going to look at the vert count. So now if we hold down Alt and tap, it's going to keep all of these together because it sees that they're separate parts, but they're similar. So it's going to go ahead and group those back together. However, on this side here, these are all going to be grouped together because they're all the same vert count. And then these are going to be all grouped together because they're the same vert count. So in that case, it kind of split those up, but it's really only two subtools. So I can hold down Alt, tap that one, hold down Shift, bent up arrow, shoot it to the top. Alt tap this one, hold down Shift, bent up arrow. And then I'm just going to do my hotkey for merge down, which is under the merge options here. And now all of these are split into their own. So I can just Alt tap through here. And you can see these are actually similar vert count. So it grouped those together when I did split to similar. All that good stuff. Now, yeah, this one is all separate parts here because they're not similar. But again, I can just hold down Shift and bent up arrow, shoot them all to the top, and then just merge them down like so. So split the parts, group split, split the similar parts. All of those are useful. Everybody, thanks for showing up.